I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thank everyone for attending. First thing with the roll call, I do not believe unless in the last 30 seconds, Mr. Garber has joined. So everyone else is present other than Mr. Garber. So we'll begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I was looking to flag this up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next, I'm requesting a motion to approve the agenda for the meeting tonight, incorporating any additions and deletions.
I move to approve the agenda with the exception of deleting item 10B1, for which we need additional information.
Okay, could I have a second?
Question procedure. If I second it, then can I ask what 10B1 is
Discussion.
for more discussion?
Sure,
Afterwards?
yes.
Second.
Okay. Item 10B1, Mr. Keener, would you?
That is the lease agreement for the Barn Burners Wrestling Club.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. No other discussion?
Actually, I do. So is that, so we just discuss what it is and then include it back in and vote on it? What's
No, it will be, it will
Next-
be
next
removed
to-
completely to another
next meeting.
meeting.
Yeah.
okay? Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, all those in favor? Believe that. I believe everyone approves, so motion carries 8-0.
Mhm.
Thank you. Next, and I forgot to do this, the board met in an exec session before this meeting tonight to cover a contractual issue and also a personnel issue with it. And now moving on, could I have approval, motion to approve the minutes for the last board meeting held February 13th, the education policy and personnel meeting on February 15th, and the buildings and grounds meeting that was held February 27th.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Brady. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, I believe motion carries 8-0. And now we'll go on with student and staff recognitions, which is Mr. Bomerski.
Thank you. And good evening. It's great to see all of you here tonight. Thanks for coming out to support our students with March is our annual Youth Arts Month here at Hempfield. So it's great to see all of you, and we thank you for all the wonderful artwork that's around that we'll be able to honor our students and our staff for all the great work that's been occurring. Before we get to that, I do want to share and I'm pleased to report as a district, I've shared with the board and with our community, and we've had students who have progressed through the National Merit Scholarship Program. And in the past, where we've been able to identify students who reached the commended status and then to the semifinalist status. And now I'm pleased to report that we have 3 Hempfield students that have been named the 2024 National Merit Scholarship Program finalists, and which is a huge accomplishment for students across the entire country. The students in part of the National Merit Program actually participate in this process through the PSATs, and they look at their scores and how they're progressing, and they do a comparison for students all across the country. This is a program that began in 1955, and every year there's over 1 million students across the country that participate in this. So we're down to a very small percentage of those students across the country who've been named finalists, and we have 3. So I want to start here. Is Zeke Stevens here? There's Zeke. Sonia Didia, is Sonia here? Tanya, there she is. And is Jude Giordano here? There he's back here. Come on up. On behalf of the entire district and our entire community, thank you for what you do for Hempfield and what you do as a representative of our school district and for how well you have represented yourselves through your entire educational career. We're so excited to watch you, follow you, and see what you do in your future. And congratulations on a wonderful accomplishment and best of luck for the scholarship program. So. And if I can have Mr. Donato, and you can hold it, I'll do a photo. How you want to do this? Okay. We're gonna do it this way. Slide over the way. Another round of applause. All right, and at this time, I would like to have Mrs. Elizabeth Burns, our District Art Department Coordinator, come up to the podium. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you. And thank you. I love seeing all of these smiling faces and filling up our boardroom. I'm so glad we have a full house tonight. We are here to honor our students. We are also really, really grateful that all of these parents and this community support our students in the arts. I'm just going to wait till the PowerPoint comes up all the way. What I have the first slide, I think, is the list of yes, thank you to parents, guardians, and family members of our student artists. Thank you to the administration and school board members for supporting the arts and for supporting this gallery space, which we really are enjoying filling each. Yeah, thank you. Okay. We will introduce ourselves as we introduce each of our students, but there are 13 of us here at Hempfield, and I am very proud to work at Centerville Elementary School. So we are going to start with Centerville Elementary School. And our first two recipients, I am so excited to honor these two boys. I'm going to actually have Emma and Luke come on up. I think I see Luke back there. They're going to stand here while I put them on the spot for a minute. So we have, come on over, Luke. One of our goals this year for the art department was to have students collaborate. And so this was very exciting to watch happen. Luke and Emma worked together, and this was kind of a joint effort on both their parts. They discovered what their interests were. They learned a lot about each other. And me personally, it was very exciting to watch happen. Okay, they met about 4 or 5 times. Had lots of discussions, and I'm very, very excited and honored. Luke always has a sketchbook. Every time I see him, he fills it all the time. I really admire that, and I wish I would work as hard in my sketchbook as Luke does. And Emma asks the best questions all the time. So this was a really great pairing, and I am very honored to give Luke Muskins and Emma Santiago an award for a distinguished artist. I'm going to shake your hand. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, and you can have a seat. Thank you. Or stand. Okay. All right, and our next one is also a collaboration. This was a little less planned. So this was a more spontaneous collaboration. Roslyn and Caleb, they were working in 5th grade, making these really wonderful cut paper designs. And then like a week later, they said, I need more paper. I need more paper. And they kept coming back, I need more paper. So they ended up making, and many more than you see up here, but they ended up making these wonderful we talked a lot about symmetry, but it became sort of something that they worked into. They were talking a lot about design with the, working with the color, because originally these were all black and white. So I was so excited that they were so excited about this. So this was more of a, instead of intentional collaboration, more of a spontaneous collaboration, which I loved watching. So I should have had them come up while I was talking about them, but why don't you come on up, Caleb and Roslyn? Thank you so much. Shake your hands. Good job. Thank you. All right, and next up is Macy.
Can I just say for parents, having missed many opportunities to photograph my children through the years, please feel free to come up and take a picture, and we have time for you to get all their faces. If you need to come in the middle, this is not sacred ground. You can come in here if you need to. So please do that and enjoy this with your family and your children.
Hi, I am Macy Bowie. I teach art at East Pete Elementary School, so grades K through 6. And I have quite a few students to recognize tonight. It's always so hard to pick just one, and now we have all these wonderful frames to fill. So I'm so excited I got to welcome 5 students here today. So first I have Maddie. I don't think that I saw Maddie tonight. And oh, if you could actually give one more slide. I did it backwards. I'm so sorry. Maddie is the piece on the bottom left. And she says that she feels happy when she's making art, and she would describe art as creative. She likes being creative because you can make new things. Next to Maddie, I have Brinley. Brinley, you want to come up and join me? So Brinley said that her favorite thing about art class is being creative and using her mind to make art pieces. Art makes her feel happy, and it makes her feel joy because it is relaxing. She can show her own personal style. So congratulations, Brinley. Okay, and then at the top, I have Oliver. I don't think I saw Oliver either. Oliver, he said that art makes him feel good because he gets to make new things. It also makes him feel really happy because it is so much fun. And he made that castle up at the top there. And then I have Parker. Parker, you can come up and join me. Parker's in 1st grade. She says her favorite thing about art class is that it lets her to be free to make her own choices. Art makes her feel happy. She would describe art as fun and creative. To be creative means to be different and unlike everyone else and their artwork. And then I have Levi. Levi's in kindergarten this year. Levi said that in his artwork, he likes that he made his fish chomping the L because the L is the first letter of his name. He says the art makes him feel happy as well because he just loves it. He even does it at home, even after breakfast and dinner. Art looks beautiful to Levi because it is so creative. Each of these students is so deserving of being recognized for their artistic talent, but I additionally want to recognize and appreciate their bravery in coming up here and how they represent a larger body of students at Hempfield who also find belonging and confidence through the arts. Each of these students' artist statements described how art makes them feel happy. They also described art as creative. Creativity has a universal ability to develop solutions with positivity that impact others and themselves. Through the arts, we cultivate future creative leaders, an essential skill and mindset in any discipline or industry. So thank you, Maddie, Brinley, Parker, Levi, and Oliver for showing us that everyone has a place in the arts and also for being creative leaders.
Hi, I'm Emily Beidler. I teach art at Landisville Primary Center, but I'm speaking tonight for Miss Blackledge at Landisville Intermediate Center. So could I have Christy and Kaylee and Claire and Maya come join me? So I'm not standing up here all by myself. You know, I joke that I don't teach kids when they get taller than me, so. So one of the things that we learn in school that we don't really talk about that much is we learn who we are as people. And I was really struck by each of your statements, how you talked about how art makes you feel calm, it brings you joy, it gives you inspiration, and it helps bring joy with memories that you have. It's a piece of you. It's being you, and it's a reflection of you. And so I thank you tonight each for not just sharing your art, but for through your art, sharing who you are as people. That's pretty amazing. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Clark. I am one of the art teachers at the high school, and tonight I wanted to acknowledge and honor Remy Burkholder. Remy's over here. You want to come on up? Sure. Remy has all the attributes you want in an art student: hardworking, curious, open to trying new things, and a willingness to work in a variety of media, whether it be drawing, painting, sculpture, or even animation. Remy has made the art classroom a better environment in so many ways, so I'll just leave you with a direct quote from the artist. As far back as I can remember, I have loved to create. Drawing, sewing, making up stories, art has always been who I am. I can't imagine a world where I don't spend some part of each day making art in some form. Art is essential to how and I think all humans communicate, understand, and reflect. Art is how people find meaning and community. We wouldn't be the same without it. Congratulations. Yeah.
I selected Melina for tonight for her exceptional performance, demonstrating a deep understanding of skills and consistently delivering high quality work. Her dedication, creativity, and attention to detail have set her apart as a standout artist. Welcome.
Okay, I'm back. Could I have my kindergarten artists come join me, Meredith, Kenjal, and Addie? So these amazing artists, great kids make great art. Did you know that? We worked on these great big bird paintings that were inspired by the Pennsylvania German Fraktur art. And we looked at pattern and we looked at color. And when I talked to each of you about what you liked about it and why you made the decisions you did, you all said something about the same thing. You said, I chose colors that made me happy. And that's pretty cool to know what makes you happy. So I hope that as you grow up into being great teenagers and great young women, that you always can remember the things that make you happy inside. And I'm glad that art is part of it. So thanks for letting me show off your work tonight. Okay? All right.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I am recognizing two students from Rohrerstown Elementary School. It's very hard to choose every year because all of our schools have awesome artists and students. But this year I chose Bellamy Wachowski in 6th grade. She is always looking for new ways to improve her art. She's always pushing the boundaries and she's taking risks. And she's such a balanced student. She's courageous and willing to help younger students and just be an inspiration and role model for the school. And she definitely makes Rohrerstown a better place. So congratulations to Bellamy Wachowski for this honor tonight. And my second artist and wonderful student is Isabella Centeno. She's also in 6th grade. And what I love about Isabella is her strength and power, not really with words, but with her art. She really has a beautiful way of expressing herself through her work. And that really has a powerful impact when you're viewing it. And I think that's really strong and amazing to have a person who just wants to make a positive difference with her work at our school. So tonight, this is why I'm honoring Isabella. So congratulations.
Hi, my name is Dan Zadilla. I'm the art teacher at Farmdale Elementary. If I could have Daniel and Gwen come up. I chose Daniel Decker. He's a 6th grader at Farmdale. He just has a really well-developed style. I feel like I could look at any piece and be able to pick his out and know it's his. He always has his sketchbook. He has his interests, medieval art and things like that. So I just wanted to honor his effort over the years. So congratulations, Daniel. And then the next slide is Gwen Groff, who's a 4th grader. Gwen just has a great attention to detail, follows through. And one of the things I really like about Gwen is I feel like she really knows when she's finished. I'll be like, hey, what do you think about doing this? And she'll just say, no, that's done. And I appreciate that. So congratulations, both of you.
Good evening, I'm Amy Edwards. I'm a teacher at the high school. I teach this great group of students, and I'm happy to introduce and very proud to introduce these three. They are in my advanced fine metals independent study. In order of, it doesn't make sense for me to talk about them. You need to hear from them, and we practice, don't worry. Shelby Loudenbeck, Donna Elmet-Wally, and Addison Schroeder.
Hempfield High School has provided all students of Hempfield amazing artistic opportunities. It has given us a chance to disconnect from our surroundings and live in our own realms of creativity. With Miss Edwards' class, we can really get out of our own heads and into our own creative realms. And it gives us a chance to really, explore possible careers and what we are very passionate about.
Art is the foundation of my daily life, and being here with these girls is so special to me. I'm really grateful that we're able to learn and grow from freshmen to seniors together.
Walking into Mrs. Edwards' class instantly brings me joy, not only because of the art aspect, but because of how amazing the art community at Hempfield is. Without Hempfield's art program, I wouldn't have the opportunity to collab and present with these amazing girls today. I think I can say on behalf of all three of us that we are beyond grateful to be selected as this month's art students.
Good evening. I'm here representing Erica Cabico, who is an art teacher at Hempfield High School. Elise, are you here? Okay. So Miss Cabico was talking about Elise's curiosity and that she is bright-eyed, she is eager to think and eager to learn. And her curiosity carries her into the process of art making, thinking, questioning, and developing her own conceptual and aesthetic voice. So we want to honor Elise this evening. I'm not going to move, but now I'm myself. So my name is Amy Smith and I teach art at Landisville Middle School, and it is always a pleasure to be here with our students who are why we're here. That's why we're here. So I would like to ask Ramona and Eric and Zoe to come forward so I can just talk briefly about them. So I have to say every day when I have students in art that grateful is the word that I have to describe them. And so I'm grateful for Zoe's patience and Ramona's patience and Eric, who's over there. He's not ready to be up here with us, which is totally fine. And I'm grateful that they are reflective and enthusiastic. I'm grateful that they are creative and they are a pleasure to have in class. Excuse me. And without them, the art making wouldn't happen. And so it is my honor this evening to recognize Ramona and Zoe and Eric. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you. You can advance one more.
Perfect. All right. Hi, my name is Jamie Lynn Brown and I'm here representing Centerville Middle School. So could my 4 artists join me and give me some support up here? Awesome. So I have Leah and Rowan and Isaac and Hugh. And these 4 students make me walk into the building every day with a smile on my face. I cannot tell you how awesome these students are. They have clocked in multiple hours inside and outside of the classroom. And it's just a joy working with young individuals that have so much enthusiasm for self-expression. The artwork that we've selected today is about connections, not just about personal connections, as these students have expressed themselves in dynamic and innovative ways, but also connecting to other parts of our curriculum. Our first work we have up here is Hugh's, and Hugh's painting is titled Music's Flow, and we are connecting art with music. So we talked about how we can interlace vocabulary words from music and art, and this is an example of taking a piece of jazz music, interpreting it, and representing visually what was in Hugh's mind. And he did it so stunningly and clocked in many hours doing so. And I really appreciate the depth and the value that you've created in your composition. Thank you, Hugh. And next one, please. Next we have Isaac. And this next 3 that we're representing are making connections between art and science. So the students wondered why I had all these bugs and sea creatures sitting on my table when they walked in the classroom. I was like, trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. So we looked at the art of Art Nouveau and looked at nature represented in design and architecture. Isaac's delicate touch to creating texture within his very astute observations of the science specimens that I had on table was quite stunning. So thank you, Isaac, for your contribution. The next one, please. And then next we have Rowan. Rowan took some creative risks in creating some 3-dimensional designs. Rowan has been experimenting a lot with collage in my classroom. So the butterflies that you see on the right are actually 3-dimensional and stick out from the page. So that was a unique expression that others had not considered in her observations of the sea creatures on the left and the butterflies on the right. And our last one, thank you. And last we have Leah and her beautiful, astute observations of some of the sea creatures and the butterflies. And I particularly love on the right, just her delicate touch of design inside the forms of nature that you see. So thank you so much for all of your innovative ideas and your willingness to share them with you. So thank you, and we'd like to honor you today.
Oh, you don't need my name on it. We'll go do that.
Okay. You. Thank you so much. Isaac. Oh, I even did you in one. Isaac. Thank you. Rowan. Thank you.
All right, could I please have Nyla and Olivia come up from Mountville? Are they here? All right, I'm going to speak on behalf of Mr. Palmer, so he sent me something to say. Okay. Olivia and Nyla both exude confidence in their decision-making and risk-taking and experimentation during their creative processes. They worked seamlessly during the production of their collaboration as if one was an extension of the other. As young artists, they embody the characteristics needed for success in the arts. Congratulations to you both. Okay, thank you, girls. Which one's Nyla? Congratulations. All right. All right, so this, I think, concludes, oh, yes. We have lots more art to see in all of our schools. We have art shows coming up. So you are all invited to come to every single show. Get a bonus if you get to every single show across the district. But I would encourage you to at least come to a couple. Starting with, it looks like we have East Pete first. Okay, so that's already very soon and all the way through May. Okay, I think this concludes our presentation. Mr. Bomersky, did you want to do a picture or are we not?
I think some families have left.
Yeah,
but
okay.
So try to get to see if they did or not. For those who are here and if you would like to do a school photo, out in the lobby, we have the Hempfield signage out there.
Okay.
That we can do photos out there.
Mhm.
But before you leave, I do want to let you know you are certainly welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting. Just want to put it out there. You're welcome to stay. But I also want to note, and this is really important, and I will talk a little bit more about this in my superintendent's report, but what you are able to see up here is just a small piece of the pie of what's out there across all of our schools at Hempfield. I recently was in a building with a guest who's been working in and out of our schools over the past year. And she said to me, this was actually just last week, she said, like she gets in schools across the country and she said the artwork in our schools here at Hempfield just surpasses what she sees in other schools. She's like, how do our teachers get that, to occur with the kids? And if you are in any of our art classes or just in our schools in general, the ability for kids to create is what really gives them that opportunity, the encouragement, the excitement, the feedback, but the opportunity for kids to simply create and put their work from here onto paper is why you're able to get here with the instruction, the relationships that the teachers develop with the kids. And the other piece is they get displayed, their artwork is displayed in our schools. And so people get to see it, kids get to see it. They get inspired by what other artists that they see their peers doing, that they want to do something different or a different technique. And so as you are getting ready for the art shows, I want to thank all of our teachers because there is a ton of time, energy, and effort that I know you spend working with the students to get to the final product. And at times, while we're celebrating the final product, you also have to celebrate the process. Because anytime you're creating something, it is about the process and what you're learning through that process. So I thank you, all of our teachers that are here, for your encouragement and your work to do. And I thank our students and their parents and guardians and family members who are here supporting them and supporting our schools. So thank you again for coming.
Before everybody leaves, I always have something to say. I have a daughter who graduated and actually has a job in the art world. So it does happen. But we came here over 26 years ago when we moved here from Germany. And my second grader, my then second grader, who's now 34, we went to Centerville Elementary School, and they were putting up the art. And we were like, we have hit pay dirt. This is a great district. I knew nothing about what they taught. I didn't know anything about what kind of lunches they served, what kind of playground they had. I just looked at the art and I said, this is the place I want my kids to go. And I just want to say thank you, teachers, for carrying that legacy on. It's a great legacy, not just because you produce artists who can work professionally eventually, but because kids get to express themselves through art, not just paper art or paint, but also ceramics, textiles, all sorts of ways. And I just really, the kids, you respond great, your artwork looks great. I just really want to recognize the teachers tonight carrying on that legacy. Whether you have a great artist in your classrooms or you have kids that are like, what do I do with this crayon? So just thank you for carrying that legacy on. I appreciate it very much.
Okay. So thank you.
Never seen such a art. Stepping steward by high-level celebrities. Okay, this is to go to art show. Some celebrities.
Okay, we're going to continue with the meeting. Next up will be student council, and just for the board members, before we continue, I believe Mr. Garber is now part of the meeting with it.
Yep.
So, Mr. Reversky or student
Yep,
council.
we'll turn it over to Avery, your student council president.
All right, our springtime is typically when we slow down a little bit of our events. A lot of us are in spring sports, as the three of us just came straight from a game. So we're slowing down our events. We did just help with the JK Mechanical Food Drive that happens every year. We helped collect them. It's not really our food drive, so we're not pushing it as much, but we help collect it and bring it out to front for them to pick up. We're working in the fall. We had the fall fling, which is like a pep rally. And then in the spring, we have the spring shebang. And so we're working on activities for that. We're discussing like what we want to do, if we want to do something a little bit extra. Last year we gave everybody like a little thing of Italian ice. So we think we might do that again. We're working on our elections for the next year, our underclassmen and juniors kind of deciding what they want to do, and then seeing how we can adjust our plans and stuff that happened last year into this year. We knew our dance was a big hit, so we're working on fixing that, working with that, as well as how can we make the variety show a little better. But it's really great. Spring sports are starting. We just had our musical, everything like that. I think the morale's pretty high. The weather today like kind of showed that. Everybody was and it was just like a good, nice mood, I felt. And so that's pretty much it. We don't have a lot going on, but we're excited for the spring.
Thank you. Any questions for student council?
I would just say that I'm impressed at your reflective practice that after the events, you're looking at them now of how they can be better next year while everything's still fresh, rather than waiting until next year. I think that's a really valuable step. So I commend you for that.
And I'll just add, I don't know if you're aware of this because you may not read this, but there was an article about student council in a Merchandiser 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, or something, at least the one I got, which was very impressive. They talked about your giving the Black Knight Award out to kids. So that was very impressive.
Yeah,
doing
I
that.
remember that. Yeah, it was cool. It's good.
And I'm going to food bank tomorrow, so I'll find out. I'm assuming the food has been dropped off. So I'll thank you ahead of time, but I'll have a count next time of how many pounds you actually collected.
I just wanted, I'm not sure, Ms. Landis, if you and your colleagues are planning on staying, I'll bring this up later during the policy, but we very much appreciated your contributions at the work session the other day and your perspective on the vaping discussion. That was very helpful. And as I said, we hope that you'll join us next Thursday for the policy committee meeting.
We do have a student council meeting actually tomorrow. So in regards to that, we'll discuss and talk about it and then discuss like who all should be there, everything like that. So just
Okay.
giving a heads up on that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And your option to stay, or you can go home and work on homework, or maybe since you've been at practice, you can go home and have supper at this point. Okay. Next, we'll move on to residents' requests to address the board. The board provides a time for public comment for residents and taxpayers to bring their thoughts to the board, but is not a time for exchange between the board, administration, and speaker. We ask that speakers refrain from identifying specific students, staff, or community members by name. Residents and taxpayers who are interested in making public comments must complete the electronic registration form prior to 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting. And I believe we have one request, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Graham.
Our only speaker this evening is Aaron Small.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to talk about public school funding and recent developments at the state level that would bring additional dollars to Hempfield from the state, something I'm sure we can all agree is a positive for our district, given the large and expensive capital projects we need to move forward with soon. A little over a year ago, a years-long lawsuit against the Commonwealth and state lawmakers was completed. The judge in that case found that the current system for funding our public schools statewide is unconstitutional. It is a system that over-relies on local revenue and tax dollars and provides an inadequate and inequitable education to the children in districts all across Pennsylvania. Over the last year, the Basic Education Funding Commission held hearings and listened to testimony from educators, administrators, and researchers about the current state of public education and recommendations about how to improve the current system. The BEFC published reports that made recommendations about how to correct this historic problem. In early February, Governor Shapiro announced his proposed budget for education, which adopted many of those recommendations. In this proposed budget, nearly every district in Pennsylvania stands to benefit. 13 of the 16 districts in Lancaster County, including Hempfield, qualified for additional dollars under the proposed adequacy gap formula. If adopted,
Hempfield would gain $1.8 million in additional funds in this first year of a recommended 7 years to close the adequacy gap. Additionally, the budget proposes to reset the base used to establish funding amounts, which will provide stability moving forward for any dollars redistributed through the basic education formula. $200 million in additional funding are proposed to be added to the basic education line that would be distributed to all 500 districts. There are $300 million proposed dollars for necessary environmental repairs to buildings, which would be vital for some of the needs identified in our own feasibility study. Proposed increases in special education funding would provide our district with $202,000 extra dollars. Reforms to cyber charter schools would create a uniform dollar amount for each cyber charter school and will result in an additional $500,000 savings to the district. There are many other areas in the proposed budget, including funds to increase pre-K programs, support career and technical education, invest in safety and security, and support teacher recruitment and retention efforts. All of these proposed changes come from funds already existing in the state's $14 billion reserve fund and would result in no tax increases at the state level. Additional basic ed funding could go a long way to protect and even enhance our programming in our district at a time when we're having to look at prioritizing and thinking about what we most value. So I am asking members of the board, make yourselves familiar with the ways that Hempfield would benefit from this proposed budget. You can help make these increases in funds a reality for our district by reaching out to our legislators and telling them that you support an increase in the state's share of funding so that you do not need to rely so much on local revenue and local tax increases. I even suggest you adopt a resolution in support of the proposed budget for the 24-25 school year. As a result of the court ruling, we have a historic opportunity to change the way that we fund public education and to invest in the future of our Commonwealth by improving the education available to all children. I'm available to discuss the details of this plan and any questions you might have for both members of the board and interested members of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll turn it back to Mr. Bomersky for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Donato. And again, good evening. I shared a little bit during the end of the presentation with Youth Arts Month here at Hempfield, but I just want to reiterate one of the things that really, I believe, at times sets us apart is the fact that while we're East Hempfield, West Hempfield, Mountville Borough, East Petersburg Borough, there is no town center, if you will, that the district, in a sense, brings those four entities together. And you see that time and time again at events like tonight. And you also see it at things like our senior preview nights. And so prior to the musical, the Thursday night before, a tradition here at Hempfield is we host our seniors in our community to the final dress rehearsal. And over the last few years, we always have great turnout. But I have to say, when I first started in the district, summer 2015, that 2016 year we had a huge turnout. And then things kind of dwindled a little bit. Stuff happened out in the world. And I'm happy and pleased to report that I believe, I didn't officially count it, but the Thursday night before our musical kickoff could have and most likely rivaled any senior preview night that we've had here in the district. It was packed. The members of our community came out strong in support of our students and the show, which was phenomenal. I hope you had a chance to see it. But it really speaks volumes to the work of our staff, of our students, and more importantly, how the community supports our district. And I think that's an important piece that we can't lose sight of. All of the work that in the time, energy, and effort that goes into what we do every day is not often noticed. What's noticed is at times the final product or a decision or an outcome, but you don't see everything that leads up to it. And I think it's important just to take a moment to step back, reflect on that, and acknowledge all of that great work because it matters. And it's what allows us to put on those great events for our community. And so I encourage you to share and spread the word Because a lot of the members of our community, actually, majority of them don't have kids in our district. And so it is important for us to get the word out to them about what happens in our schools. We do that through our roundtable, which we mail directly to families. And also different communications, whether it's online, printing, et cetera. But our senior preview nights are important. And so we have another one coming up at the end of April for dance theater. And this will be the 40th anniversary of dance theater. So it's another opportunity for members of our senior community to come out and enjoy and see what's happening in the schools. This year's show is called Connect. And I think it's a great message to be able to, to send, in fact, connecting with the community. And so I just want to acknowledge that a little bit tonight because everything that we're seeing, all the great work that's happening, there's a lot of planning, a lot of thought, a lot of time that's spent. And I think that's just an important piece to recognize. So I wanted to just honor and thank our staff for that tonight. And just also share the awareness and what a great event it was for our senior preview night for Fiddler on the Roof. And also, as Mrs. Burns shared, we have a lot of art shows coming up, but also end of the year concerts. Our spring sports season started on March 4th. Hard to believe we're already in there. We had a scrimmage baseball game today. So there's a lot going on, and this is a very busy time of the year. So I just encourage you to continue to come out, support our students, support our schools and our staff. There's a lot to do. So check out our website if you're looking for something to do, whether it's a sporting event, extracurricular event, a school event. There's a lot to happen over the next few months. So any questions for me? Hearing none, you have the calendar of events and you have the March enrollment report. And then that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you. President's report, I would just add that Mr. Bowerski was telling me about senior night, and I happened to drive down Franklin or Stanley Avenue at the time senior night was going on. And I mentioned to him there were parked out there at least 3 or 4 that I could see just driving by, vans from the different retirement communities there. And I also I went to it was fantastic. The musical was fantastic. I went to that on Friday night with my wife, and it was well worth going to see. So again, thank you to all the people that made that possible here. So moving on, we'll go on to the representative and adjunct reports, Lancaster County Career and Technology Center, Mr. Keener.
Thank you, Mr. Donato. The Joint Operating Committee met at the Mount Joy campus on February 22nd. Pretty uneventful meeting. The biggest, I think, thing of note is that we continue our search for a new business manager. We've actually retained a search firm to assist with those efforts. I'm on the search committee, so if anyone is interested or knows of anyone who is interested and qualified to be the business manager at the Lancaster County Career and Technology Center, we are certainly happy to talk with them. It's an exciting opportunity to really take a key senior leadership role at a pretty sprawling enterprise that does wonderful work here in the county. So if anyone's interested or knows anyone who's interested, I'm happy to talk with you. The next meeting will be on March 28th.
Any questions for Mr. Keener? Okay, moving on, IU 13, Mr. Maris.
Yes, we met in February and they shared the results of the audit by Brown, and everything looked good, no issues, clear opinion. We also talked about, and I don't know, Mr. Bomerski, if you have any additional updates on the latest with the 2 reports and the governor's proposal. Is there anything new that has happened since we've met last?
No, I had shared the link, the report to you with some of the additional information in board news. 1.8 million potentially additional basic ed funding, additional 200,000 in special ed. There's potential if, as we heard tonight, if there's additional work around the cyber charter costs, a flat rate, that could be additional savings. There's additional grant opportunities that we are looking at. Some we've already pursued and submitted applications. And so we're hopeful that there will be a continued effort to fund public education at the levels it needs to be funded at to reduce the local effort. But that'll all be dependent on what happens in Harrisburg, and hopefully they can do it prior to our budget being approved in June, so we know some final numbers.
So it could potentially, we could find out that soon?
What I'm hearing is that there is a lot of hope and expectation that it will be accomplished by June 30th, given that we'll be moving into an election year.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Questions for Mr. Maris? Going on, Hempfield Rec Center, Mrs. Brady.
Since I last reported, we have not had another meeting that I was privy to attend, and so I have nothing to report.
Okay. Wagner?
Thank you. Next meeting is set for Wednesday, the 27th of this month.
Okay. Moving on, Safety and Security, Mr. Garber.
I got nothing to report.
Okay. PSBA, Mrs. Eshelman.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Standing Committees, Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Maris.
So we met February 27th. Mrs. James gave us a brief update on the feasibility study. We had a good discussion with Raymond James on financial options as we look at these big projects. And Mrs. James also gave us an update on paving and concrete bids. I think we did select a vendor based on her recommendation. That's all.
Questions? Okay. Finance, Mr. Wagemuth.
That same evening, we had the Finance Committee meeting, and Mrs. Hall presented the updated information on the 24-25 budget, including some information around the funding from Governor Shapiro's office and an overview of expenditures and revenue. And then we also jumped into some contracts, which they're on the agenda tonight for approval.
Thank you. Education and Programs, Mrs. Johnston.
Refer to the minutes if you want more details. I just wanted to let you know about a couple things that we've been doing in addition to the school visits that some of us have done with Dr. Dandridge and Mr. Rominski. On the 14th of this month, on a Thursday night, we met with all of the elementary principals and administrators to get their feedback of what they're hearing from their staff and what they have observed regarding the pilot programs, the 2 pilot programs. I felt like that was very beneficial for us. If any of the committee members were there, if you have anything to add, Mr. Wagner or Ms. Eshelman?
Just
Mr. Garber's online.
Just thoughtful, productive discussion, which is so nice to be part of.
Now they're taking this very seriously. Everybody is, but they're also enjoying the process, which is good as well. Our next meeting is on March the 21st, which is as usual, Thursday at 5 o'clock. We will be getting more data that Dr. Dandridge will be presenting to us about from surveys, parent surveys, testing results. Anything else? Lots of data.
Way to make sense for capture the work that's been going on over the past 2 years.
And we hope to make a decision. I'm not going to say which month we hope for, but we sure hope it's before the end of the school year, maybe sooner. Yeah. As you see some of the hopeful smiles around the room. But thank you for all the work that you, Dr. Dandridge, that you've done with the principals and with the teachers. We really appreciate it and appreciate your diligence in the way you have approached, you and the staff have approached this decision, this process. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Policy, Personnel, and Legal, Mr. Keener.
Thank you. The Policy, Personnel, and Legal Committee also met on February 15th, approved several policies for first and second reading as indicated on the upcoming agenda. We also have a very informative presentation by Dr. Bossman and his staff at the high school about vaping, complete with some show and tell of vapes that have been confiscated from students. I think it's safe to say that the board found this pretty fascinating. I certainly was not aware of the variety and how well hidden these items can be. So that was certainly interesting. And then we followed that up with a listening session recently with members of the high school administration and student council who provided additional perspective on the vaping issue. And we hope to have a discussion at next Thursday's meeting around what direction a potential policy might go. So I think we're still a couple meetings away from doing anything, but we're trying to get a handle on this issue in a way that makes sense for the entire school community, with the goal of having something in place by the opening of the 2024-25 academic year.
Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on to personnel action items. The first one can ask a motion for is the approval of Mr. Paul as the new assistant principal at Centerville Middle School, which his effective date, which I give him credit for, he's going to finish out at Donegal for the remainder of the school year, and then he will start during the summer. So like a motion, please, to approve that.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. That was Mr. Maris and Mrs. Brady for first and second. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, show of hands. Mr. Garber? Okay. Motion passes 9-0. Congratulations.
Welcome aboard.
Would you like to say anything? And that's okay if you don't.
So want to say, pretty lucky that I get to do this on the night that you guys did the art display for all of your different schools. In the second round interview, one of the questions that I was asked is what would be sort of the number one concern I might have about joining Hempfield? So I've been at Donegal for 14 years as both a teacher and administrator. And I can tell you, I've never been to a board meeting that was standing room only. So it is a bit of a different environment. And the thing that scared me a little bit, honestly, would be jumping ship to a district that is as expansive as Hempfield's. But seeing such a sort of diverse and widespread community come together for something like this really is illustrative of what I was assured in that interview, that Hempfield, despite its size, truly is a district committed to people, committed to relationships, and just committed to the community. So it was really cool to see. I mean, it is amazing art. Hats off to all the kids that did that. I just want to express extreme gratitude. I'm so honored to be joining this district, and I really I can't wait to get to work with Lisa and do some great stuff at Centerville. So thank you all very, very much.
Welcome
Thank
aboard.
you. Welcome. Next, I'll seek a motion to approve 9B personnel action items, which go from 1 through 9.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Keener. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Wagner, any discussion? All those in favor? Mr. Garber, he approves. Motion carries 9-0. Next, we'll move on to approval of action items B through F. And remember, with the contracts, we deleted the item about the wrestling contract. So we'll be approving everything, but it would be 10B1 that was deleted from the agenda. So could I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Keener. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Any discussion?
I have a question, and
Sure.
maybe this isn't the right time to ask it. Why did we remove the barnstormers? Burners?
You mean the wrestling,
Whatever it was we removed,
okay.
why did we
I
remove
think
that?
there's to get some clarification on some language within the contract.
What's it for?
It's for, if you remember, okay. Well, let me refresh my memory too with this. For practice for wrestling, we use the facility that's on State Road, and that's the name of it. And there
Okay,
was,
gotcha.
okay,
Yep. Thank you.
okay. Any other questions about that?
My only comment would be thank you for following up on some of the information that I requested regarding the Palo Alto, if I said that correctly, contract.
All right. There was a motion, a second. All those in favor? Okay. Mr. Garber? Not to- Okay, then motion carries. Did we get something? There it is. Okay, with a slow motion carries 9-0. And last one for the financial action items is to the approval for the resolution for the bonds. We decided at the last Buildings and Grounds meeting that we were going to in finance meeting that we were going to borrow another $15 million to help with our.
Did you say 50 or 15? If
Would
you
you
said
like me to say
50, it's
50?
15.
No, it's.
And it may be slightly less than that, just to be accurate, but 15 is not 50.
Yes. No, I did say 15, but I understand.
Palpitations for a
Would
minute.
you like me
So-
to change it to 50, except we won't?
So I have a question. I pulled up
Sure.
the resolution and it said 18 million.
Yeah, I was concerned.
Is that a
about
different
too.
number than we were planning on?
We talked about that the last time we borrowed.
Yes.
But
must
you can
forget.
explain that better than I can.
We have our financial advisors, as well as Dave Walker, our solicitor here, who'll walk through things.
Sure. Lou Verdelli with Raymond James. When we've done the parameters resolution, whether it's been a refinancing or a new money transaction, we always inflate that by about 20% just for structuring purposes, because when we submit this to DCED up in Harrisburg, they need some maximum parameters, like a 6% interest rate in there. We always inflate that. We're obviously, because to make this work under IRS tax laws, we can't issue more than 15 million. So it's simply really just paperwork, and you will not
We're
be.
still borrowing 15 million.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's identical to exactly how you did it the last time, basically.
Yes, yep.
Because that same question came up a year ago.
So like when we've done refinancings that we were refinancing $10 million of bonds, the parameters was probably for 12 million. But that was just to give us some flexibility, and we have to submit something that gives us plenty of room just for structuring purposes to Harrisburg. But yes.
Mr. Keener?
And thank you. And I also think it's probably worthwhile, Mr. Walgamuth, you may wish to address this, that to remind everyone why we're doing this, it's take advantage of the arbitrage opportunities.
I was going to explain that. Hopefully this will make a little bit of sense, but we're able to borrow this money at a lower interest rate than we're able to invest it. So it's the principle of taking this money and borrowing it. I'm going to use 3%. That's not the exact percentage, but hypothetically, we're borrowing it 3% and we can invest it at 5%. So over a period of time until we use this money, we net typically over $1 million. That's not guaranteed, but that's basically money that we haven't done anything to earn. So we're taking this money knowing we're going to need to borrow it. We're borrowing it while the interest rate for school districts is low, and while we can invest it high because of the spike in interest rates. So we gain on this. And I think you shared this the last time. We don't often get this opportunity, and we haven't had this for a long time. But we know the district's going to need to borrow an extensive amount of money. We're not going to be concerned about using it. So it makes sense to garner the interest from this while we can.
Right. And on the last issue, and this is really identical to what we did last fall, same recommendation, same amount, same principle. Mrs. Hall did a great job on getting that money invested right away. We had worked with her to say, money's in has arrived once closing was there. She worked with the investment advisors to get that invested at such a good interest rate. So that would be the exact same plan here, because on the horizon, you're hearing about the Fed might start lowering interest rates as soon as June. And the rate that they're going to lower is that short-term rate, which determines your investments on these short-term, the interest rate on these short-term investments. So again, the strategy really was to move quickly, get this money in the bank, get it invested, really before those short-term interest rates drop, which some people think the Fed may cut interest rates 4 times this year. Some people are saying 2 times, but the expectation is that opportunity probably diminishes as soon as they start lowering the short-term rate.
And it's also that we can only borrow 15 million and earn interest. If we borrow more than that, is it, we're not allowed to earn interest or we pay taxes on it?
It's kind of like you pay taxes on it. What the rule is say you just use easy numbers. If you borrow at 4 and invest it at 5, and that's what you earn over time, as long as the borrowing is 15 million or less, you can keep that extra 1% of earnings. If the borrowing was $20 million, that 1% you would have to rebate back to the federal government.
So you can't make any money on
Right.
investment.
You're still making the interest earnings up to the rate that you borrowed money at. It's just kind of that extra that you would have to give back, which was the discussion, the 15 million, given where you're at on your project timeline. It makes sense to take advantage of that. I think we told you last time we were here, many other school districts did exactly what you did last fall because of this opportunity that we really haven't seen in 17 or 18 years to see this inverted yield curve.
As interest rates drop, which they look like they're going to, could this be taken away, this 15 million provision?
No, that's been in the tax code since 1986.
Okay, so that's something we can always do.
Right.
However, as interest rates go down, the chance to get more earnings.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because
When you
earnings
think,
will be less.
right, when you think 3 years ago, when the Fed had interest rates at 0, your interest earning opportunity was none.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say, Lou and I have been doing this for, over 25 years, and it's very rare, the opportunity, and it's short-lived usually, which is why most boards and business managers and school districts really, the $15 million amount wasn't a magic number, because for, most of the time, it doesn't really matter. But the past year, it has mattered a lot. So it's a great opportunity to take advantage of while you can.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions?
I just want to clarify for my own clarification. This will go into capital reserves, not the general fund.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Where does the interest go? Also in the reserves? Okay, thanks.
I think, other questions? I think we actually have to, I haven't asked for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Wakamas, second.
Second.
Mr. Maris, and I believe this has to be a roll call vote.
And does anyone have any questions on the resolution itself for Dave while he's here?
I'm just procedurally, I don't know that we've done roll call votes before on these. Is that just, were we doing it wrong before? Or
We did it on the last one
Okay,
at Dave's suggestion.
just curious.
It's our recommendation as a firm that it be a roll call vote, and I believe that's consistent.
Could you use the microphone, please, Mr.
Sorry,
Walker?
Mr. Keener. It's our recommendation as a firm that's roll call vote, but I believe that is also a requirement of the Debt Act as well.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're gonna do a roll call vote. I'm just gonna go around the room. So Mr. Keener?
Yes.
I got it.
Oh, you got, okay, sorry.
Sorry, different order. Mrs. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Donato?
Yes.
Mrs. Eshelman?
Yes.
Mr. Garber?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Keener?
Yes.
Mr. Maris?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Wogomuth?
Yes.
Motion
I
passes.
believe the resolution passed 9-0. Okay. So we're gonna move on then to buildings and grounds action items, and we have 2 in there. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 2 in there. The first one is to actually approve the bid approval. And I believe that's because when we did it at Buildings and Grounds, we already went through the different bids, but we actually still have to formally approve the bids, even though we selected something, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah.
With that, okay? So need a motion to approve the actual bids for the paving and concrete work we're going to have done during the summer.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Maris. Second,
Second.
Mrs. Eshelman, thank you. Any discussion? Any questions about why we're doing this? Okay, if not, then show of hands to approve the motion. Richard's already approved it. That's good. Motion carries 9-0. Next, well, actually, the contract approval with with S&M and Sons Construction for all the various paving work being done at Mountville and Morristown during the summer. Motion to approve that, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Brady. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? And Mr. Garber, and that motion carries 9-0. And then finally, we're going to go on to other action items, which begins with C. There are no first reading policies this time, so it'd be second readings from C through K. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Keener. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Any discussion? Yes.
Just a very high level question about item J. Is this the one that we have been discussing extensively in recent weeks?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
just wanted to make sure.
Any other questions? Okay. Have a vote for that, please. All those in favor? And I believe that carries 9-0. And then finally, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Maris, second.
So moved.
All those in favor, show of hands. Okay, thank you. Motion carries, I believe, 9-0. We are adjourned. Have a good evening.